So here we have it, more sanctimony. This guy Enzinger from Illinois, a Republican, who is brought to tears in talking about the deficiencies of the Congress and the Capitol Hill that day on January 6th, and how this is not what he represents as a Republican conservative, and that he wants to get to the facts and the truth, and he wants righteous retribution to the perpetrators of evil on January 6th. Well, let me tell you something, Congressman Essinger. How did you feel about Maxine Waters declaring war on Trump before he took office? Impeach 45. Impeach 45. How'd you feel about that? We need to take it to the street. Get in their face. Make them uncomfortable. Wherever you see these Republican conservative Trump voters, attack them. How'd you feel about that, Enzinger? Huh? That was one of your own. That wasn't some citizen. That was a congressman and a senator saying that. Do I need to go ad infinitum about all the lies of the FBI? Schiff, Schumer, Maxipad Waters. It didn't end from the moment Trump declared his candidacy. And you don't think there's going to be a retributive bounce back from that? When every media outlet, including snakes like Chris Wallace at Fox and Little Miss Sanctimonious Megyn Kelly or whatever her name was, may she burn in hell, attacking Trump. You call women fat pigs? No, he didn't. He said that about Rosie O'Donnell. And 5 years later, she's still a fat freaking pig. But no, we don't tell the truth. Little Mr. Sanctimony here wants to speak in half-truths. Well, let me quote Isaac Newton. Every action evokes an equal and opposite reaction. First law of physics, first law of politics and social interaction. Punch a man in the nose. Don't cry like a bitch when he punches you back. The Christian right wing in this country have been pushed to the extreme without right of redress. Lois Lerner and little Mr. Schulman, mock boy, in the IRS attacking Christian groups like the Christian 501cs they went after. Weaponized by Obama. Waco, FBI and ATF, weaponized by the Clintons and Janet Reno. Let me quote Hillary. We came, we saw, they're dead. So you sit here, pal, ensconced in your sanctimony, you pitiful excuse for a man. You sit here and whine like a little girl. The hell with you. You capitulative traitor. You want to arrest people that violated the Congress? I don't have a problem with that. But I'll tell you what I have a problem with. Acting like this stuff happens in a vacuum. Acting like there was no provocation. The disgusting way the election was carried out. And you want to sit here and tell me Biden won, I'll tell you you're nuts. But I'll tell you something else. My lying eyes showed me who won this election. At every rally where Trump had hundreds of thousands of people and Biden had seven people at some of his rallies. Don't you tell me what I know. Don't you tell us what we saw. Don't you tell me about bullshit ballot boxes being dropped off in the middle of the night, because we all know it. Don't tell us that that didn't happen. Don't tell us that at 1 o'clock in the morning Trump had an outrageous lead in the 6 states in question, and 2 hours later, after mysteriously closing the electoral offices, boxes show up with bogus votes. Let me quote Joe Stalin, quoted by every Democrat for 50 years. It's not the votes that counts, it's who counts the votes. They brag about it. They bragged about it in the Kennedy election. And Richard Nixon said it would be injurious to the country to contest the election. Now, he didn't want to stand and fight either, because politics overrules truth in America. Scare America. The United States of mendacity. Let me quote the guy that should be on the dollar bill, Costanza from Seinfeld. It's not a lie if you believe it. We've been in how many wars for 20 years because of lies? The people who knocked Trump, the Cheneys, Colin Powell, told us about WMD, which never existed, but they made people believe it. They were Republicans too. That's why I no longer call myself a Republican. I'm an independent libertarian. And the Republican Party is as dead as Julius Caesar, followed soon by the Democratic Party. They're dying now. They're eviscerating their own. All you have to do is watch Jimmy Dore break it all down. Criminals, liars, lunatics. So let's listen to more to this sophomoric little crybaby.
The Republican Party, but because of it. Not to win a political fight, but to learn the facts and defend our democracy. Here's what we know. Congress was not prepared on January 6th. We weren't prepared because we never imagined that this could happen. An attack by our own people, fostered and encouraged by those granted power through the very system they sought to overturn.
Now there is the hubris and admission and folly of every failed politician. He couldn't have imagined it. Of course you couldn't have imagined it, little boy, because you're in your ivory tower. You're protected with security. You're ensconced in your little secure bubble with your fat paycheck and pensions. What do you know about sacrifice? Like all the small businesses because of this Chinese pandemic unleashed on the West in retribution for Trump. And that's what it was. And the Democrats conspired with them, and we know it. Harvard has as much campus in Shanghai and in China as they do in Cambridge, Massachusetts. And in January of 2020, or December, they arrested Professor Gerber for sharing biological and chemical warfare secrets with the Chinese. Never heard a word about it since, because a month later, COVID broke out. So, you know what you all are. This idiot doesn't. He's too stupid. Mr. Little Crybaby Essinger, he doesn't even understand what a tool he is. He's a tool. Batteries included. Sitting there crying like a little girl. What people of his party. And then to try to say conflatively that this was promulgated by political leaders in the Republican Party, that's bullshit. Yes is yes, no is no. If Trump wanted a war, he would have said, let's take this to war, and then I would have went to Washington. But I knew better than to get caught in a trap like that. Because if I'm going to war, I'm coming with guns. I don't bring a knife to a gunfight. I don't bring a flag to a gunfight. And if that's what's coming, I'll be ready for it like every other patriot, because we've been waiting. And you crooks in the FBI and the CIA, the communist Brennan, the entrepreneur Comey, the lying McCabe and Page, the rest of you scumbags, you fool nobody. The Mountain Everest of evidence against the Clintons, and you broke your neck looking away. The disgusting stuff on the Hunter Biden laptop that you broke your neck not wanting to look at. And you sat on it for a year. Everything from sexual molestation of underage girls, that scumbag, to the drugs he was doing. Hunter Biden. And now he's Picasso, selling his paintings. And the Brian Williams scumbags at NBC of the world buy them for $500,000. You think this country isn't perverted? You think this country isn't under judgment? You think this country isn't going to get its comeuppance? This is Rome. And justice will come, because God doesn't take days off. So be prepared, America, because right now it's been a slow slide to the abyss, but it's going to pick up real fast. They're taking your rights away with vaccination freedom. That's only the beginning. They don't want you having guns because they know you have a right to redress and anger. And that's why the Founding Fathers made that the Second Amendment. Because the First Amendment was life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness, freedom of speech, and the right to assemble in demonstrative anger against a tyrannical government. So number 2 was the underlining exclaimer. You shall have the right to bear arms. Case the scumbags running the country someday in the future forget what their obligations are. Well, here we are, and I've had enough. And pretty soon, I may move to Russia and become a Russian patriot, because I find nothing to align myself with in this disgusting, hypocritical, mendacious shithole called the United States of America. I'm done. We're a long way from John Wayne. With apologies to every veteran who ever lost their life or got wounded defending this republic that these people have shat on. That's all.